Hello, this is Jake Light, Gaming Lawyer at your service. We're once again back with the Great Ace Attorney. And we're gonna find out what... Well, we already found out, or we've always found out, that the Great Herlock Sholmes is always wrong. Alright? So, in case we want to find out the rest of it. Alright, without further ado, let's do this. Let's do this. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose... Wait, I think this is the same. Alright, then let's... Right. Yeah, this is the same. Oh wait, it is not the same. Oops. Let me rephrase that. Yeah. Not the same as last time, so I have to do this... This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, decide a whiz to filch some tawdry article of pawnage? Have you forgotten that I redeemed the article in the proper manner, using the watchword? Had I not been the one to deposit it in the first place, how could I possibly have known the relevant details? N'est-ce pas? Yep, he is like French, or not, or pretending to be French. Anyways. Oh, but the watchword can be discovered. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, and your furtive glance is more than telling that I could have hoped. What? Let us consider how one might come to learn a secret watchword relating to the pawned property of another. The method is revealed by the council notice. Yeah, not that thing. The direction of the deduction must change rather dramatically now, I think. Yes, no more talk of tunneling into the sewers, which is a pity because it all sounded rather exciting. Anyway, you can't deny that this mysterious gentleman did know the watchword. Yes, Professor. If you didn't know that word, Mr. Windybank would never allow you to redeem the article. Or, looking at it another way, if you did know that word, Mr. Windybank would allow you to redeem the article whether it was yours or not. So the question is, could this gentleman have found the watchword out somehow? Well, we'll have to read something over here, maybe. Look at this, Mr. Sato. Ah, it appears to be a memo that Mr. Windybank has scribbled to himself. Let's see. What does it say? Oh, Professor. ... You know what I'm thinking? You know what I'm thinking? Yes, Mr. Windybank must make a note of the watchwords his customers give him, right before their eyes, and in alarmingly clear script as well. Oh dear, I don't know where to look. Who knows what other secrets I might see? Alright. And we should look at... what else? I don't think it's that, alright? No, it can't be anything else. Alright, notelets. The method is revealed by the notelet on the counter to which your eyes were inevitably drawn. Well, one thing I want to say is, why would you write it down and just nonchalantly put it over there? That's one thing, alright? Yeah, the second thing is... what coincidence, right? What a wild coincidence. The watchword is right there on the first page, unless he, how do you say, Mr. Benedict here somehow saw this, not right now, recently, but sometime before, right? But anyways, let's see. Yes, The broker here follows the same procedure whenever a customer comes to redeem an article. He asks the customer for a watchword and notes down the response uttered on a notelet he has to hand. Then he consults his ledger and confirms whether or not the watchword matches that of the article in question. I would expect nothing less of a diligent pawnbroker. But his diligence clearly has its disadvantages. What are you talking about? It is increasingly apparent that you were present in this shop before your accusation against Miss Lestrade. In all likelihood, you followed her inside and then observed her talking to Mr. Windybank. When the diligent broker made a note of the watchword, as is his common practice, you observed him writing the word Professor on the notelet beside the ledger. Okay. And that, sir, was the master plan you devised to steal the pawn article from the young Miss Lestrade. Master plan! Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. Why would you go to such lengths to redeem that particular article from his pawnbroker? Are you quite serious? For an ill-fitting overcoat hardly seems to justify the effort, much less a worthless music box disc. But naturally, you had very good reason to make them yours, didn't you, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. The articles we are talking about are the overcoat and the music box disc that was in one of the pockets, which according to Mr. Windybank isn't even worth a penny. And yet this man went to such lengths to steal them. Why? I wonder if perhaps we already have the evidence we need to explain it, Mr. Naruhodo. Could we? Really? I'd better have a thorough look through all the evidence we've collected so far. Yes! I'm just gonna present it because I already looked at it. You see, this music box disc tells us all we need to know. What's that? On the back? It reads, for McGilded. Ugh. He looks very similar, doesn't he, to McGilded? Ah, Mr. Magnus McGilded, the unfortunate philanthropist who perished in curious circumstances at the Old Bailey 2 months ago. A prominent man in London, through his loan-mongering demonstrated a distinct lack of scruples. So, you're an associate of his, are you? Or perhaps a subordinate? Mr. McGilded was a man of unusually small stature, in fact. He was precisely the right size for that overcoat that you squeezed yourself into. Ugh. Your true identity remains shrouded in mystery, Mr. Agate Benedict. But the final conclusion here is crystal clear. The reason you came to this pawnbrokery today was to retrieve an article left behind by the late Magnus McGilded. Tisk! Ah! Ka-chong. To acquire an item deposited by Mr. McGilded. Mr. McGilded. Sold. Deduction complete. Elementary. My idea, friend, elementary. Well, Mr. Magnus McGilded, Not a name I expected to hear in these circumstances. Mr. Sholmes, I'm afraid there's something very troubling on my mind. Pray tell, Mrs. Sato. Well, according to what Mr. Winbank told us earlier, today was the final day on which the coach could have been redeemed, was it not? Yes, ma'am. That is correct. Today would be precisely 2 months since it was first deposited. Well, today is 15th April, so 2 months ago today would have been 15th February, sir. That's right. It's all carefully recorded in my ledger. Deposited at 10:30 p.m., I see. What? But that suggests... Yes, 15th February is precisely the day on which the omnibus murder took place. And 10:30 in the evening is precisely the time at which the terrible events were unfolding. Suggestive is not the word. It would seem that the matter is entirely beyond coincidence. Seems the egg has cracked on Mr. Benedict here. You are, of course, at liberty to make whatever outlandish deductions you choose. However, I must insist you hand over the music box disc now. It would be a terrible shame for you to return your native land in a box. Ugh, what do I do? Absolutely not! There are some things a man must protect at all costs. This may well be one of those things. Then again, it may not. Mr. Windybank, this is my shop. I can't allow any harm to come to my customers. If that were to happen, I should have to take my own life. Mr. Windybank, no! Who is this? Alright, that's enough. It's the police! It's Gregson. Inspector Gregson. Inspector? That's right, Sunshine. The alarm was raised on one of our dedicated emergency lines. So we got here as fast as we could. Now what's all this about, eh? Oh, praise be! You're here at last! I was a moment's way from forfeiting my own life in my own establishment. There's no need for that, Mr. Windybank. It's like you trying to commit seppuku or something to honor your guilt or something or whatever. It would seem you have the upper hand. Right, you lot have got some explaining to do. I don't appreciate being bothered with some petty argy-bargy. What is that? What was that? Petty? Mr. Windybank very nearly met with his end. Yeah, by his own gun, as far as I can tell. Oh dear. And the whole of Britain could meet with its end if I don't get to the bottom of the case I'm supposed to be working on. What? What on earth is the case, Inspector? Spare no detail, Gregson. I might have said a little too much. No matter. It's nothing to do with you lot. Anyway, sir, you're gonna have to come with me down to the station. But of course, Inspector. He's getting away! Get after him, lads. We saw the beat officer too. Sir! Damn you. He must have used his stand powers to escape. There's been a spate of thefts at pawn shops around here recently. We fitted emergency buttons underneath the counters for brokers to let us know when there's trouble. Oh, Inspector, I was very worried with that for a while. Very worried indeed. Now then, Mr. Permley in mourning. Oh, yes. I'll be taking whatever it is Miss Gilded down to the yard. Thank you very much. So hand it over. Oh yes, of course. No, don't give it to him. It's mine, that is mine. I'm sorry, miss, but anything belonging to Mick Gilder has to be taken in as evidence now. As evidence? If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. Grrr. Right, seems like something has happened. Probably a murder case, another murder case. And so we handed Mr. McGilder's disc over to Inspector Gregson, and were summarily turfed out of the shop and onto the street. Alright. Oh, that's the end of that part? Interesting. Interesting. Alright, save. We'll save. Let's do this. Baker Street. See, that's why I hate grown-ups. All the way do is fit you a bag of lies and take stuff from you. Oh really, Miss Lestrade? Tell me, is that overcoat keeping you warm? What? Oh my, surely you were given that? Yeah, the D let me keep it after I looked daggers at him for long enough. He went through the pockets and then said, "Go on Dan, have it," before telling me to scabber. Scabber. Always pays off giving people like you hate him. I can't help feeling that it's going to get you into serious trouble one day. But, well, that's it. You have been into very serious troubles already. What I really wanted was that nice shiny disc, mine. The music box disc. But Mr. Windybank said it was practically worthless. I think I'm gonna go and have another bash. Give him a long hard stare. I think not, Miss Lestrade. We shan't enter Windybanks again today. Why not? That's not fair. It can't be helped, I'm afraid. The police are investigating the scene now and taking a statement from Mr. Windybank. But that disc's mine. I had the ticket for this coat and it was in this coat's pocket. There should be something else and all. What's that rotten cool say, ain't it? Yes, he did mention something about another article, didn't he? Well then, that's mine too, whatever it is. Now, she's really pushing her luck. Miss Lestrade, I think it's time to admit defeat. You have your haul for the day. Yeah, and it's all your fault, Miss Jones. So what are your plans now? Will you dine with us this evening? Eh? Iris would be delighted to cook, I'm sure, and I might entertain you with my modest violin recital. Well, as much as I hate you, Sholmes, you're a good person. I don't like your personality, I don't like your attitude, but you're a good person. No, Ta. Oh. Why would I come around your place, eh? Have you lost your have you lost your mind or something? Well, guessing she's a son. Oh dear, she's gone. Having reviled of me quite unnecessarily, I might add. I can't help wondering if perhaps she might turn up anyway. Interesting. Once she's had a chance to calm down, I think there's a good chance she'll decide to come. Very well then. I'll inform Iris to set a place for our potential guests at the dinner table this evening. And one more thing. I should be glad of your company later too. Sorry? I believe I will have a rather splendid surprise to show you. Oh, how exciting! What is it? You shall have to wait and see, Mr. Sato. Until later, then. Alright. Well, what shall we be doing, eh? I don't think we have anything to investigate on the street. So, we shall be moving somewhere else. I guess back to the house, right? Yeah, indeed. Right. Let's see. Oh, hey, it's Iris. All right. Susie and Bruno, come in. Good afternoon, Iris. Thank you so much for breakfast this morning. Oh, don't mention it. Goodness, look at the time already. Busy as always? I am. I'm preparing everything for dinner this evening. Already? You're obviously cooking something special, are you? Oh yes. After all, we have a special guest joining us. Guess who it is? Gone. You never guess. If you guess correct, I'll kill you. Look at those little eyes of hers shining. Oh dear, it is awkward when you already know the answer, isn't it? It's Ginny! Isn't that exciting? Ginny or Guinea? I think it's Ginny. Oh, what a surprise! Yes, that's wonderful news. Wow, Iris seems overjoyed at the idea. I can't wait to learn some pickpocketing tips from a real professional. Oh yes, that does sound like fun. I'm not sure that's entirely appropriate. Are you, Mr. Naruto? By the way, Iris, what's Mr. Sholmes up to? Is he sad again? Hurley? Oh, he's been like that ever since he got back. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. I beg that you won't speak to me. Sorry? I don't know who you are, but kindly take your leave. As you can see, I'm not here. I don't know how to respond to that. I do apologize. When he gets like this, it's completely obvious to everything. Yes, I see. Really, he behaves just like a child sometimes. Hurley does. Mr. Sholmes and Iris have something of a parent and child relationship, don't they? Yes, except that Iris is clearly the parent here. Come to think of it, I wonder where her real parents are. Touchy subject, alright? Touchy subject. What's the matter, Bruno? You have ever seen such a funny look on your face? Oh, no, it's nothing. I know what it is. Why does this girl live here with Mrs. Sholmes? You're wondering, am I right? How? How did you? Oh, Bruno, I can read you like a book. This girl is dangerous.
Don't worry, you can ask me anything. I won't mind.
I have a funny feeling it relates back to this first case. But let's talk about Ginny. So by Ginny you mean Miss Lestrade, right? The young woman from the Gilded case 2 months ago.
Yes, who also stole my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Although after that trial I invited her back here and we had dinner together. And now we are the best friends. Best of friends. Best friends. BFFs.
Oh, what a lovely tale.
Yes, now if I bump into her on the street, she runs away as fast as she can.
Oh, I don't think that's how friends are.
And I chase her after her down the back alleys with my gun here, trying to gun her down.
Interesting idea of friendship.
And then I let her have the latest color smoke grenade I've developed.
Oh.
There's so many beautiful colors in the world. Ginny wants me to make a whole rainbow.
I suppose this means you've let Mr. Strut keep the smoke grenade launcher, have you?
Yes, that's right. I got bored of it anyway. Hurley always reacts the same way when I shoot him with it now.
Poor Hurley.
Oh, I can't wait for Ginny to arrive. It's been too long since she last came over. I'm so excited.
I just hope she does actually come. Right, why are you living with Holmes?
I'm sure you've been wondering why it is that I live here with Hurley, haven't you?
Well, it has crossed my mind that, and where are your parents?
My mommy and daddy aren't with me anymore. Mommy passed away when I was born, and at around the same time, my father, well, he had to go to a faraway land because of one of the cases he and Hurley were working on.
Oh, wait a minute. Did you say he and Hurley?
Yes. Daddy and Hurley were always solving mysterious cases together.
You didn't mention that before.
He wrote them all up in his diaries. That's what's in the metal chest over there.
Really? He recorded them all? So you mean it's true, Mr. Sholmes really did have a partner with whom he tackled some of his most taxing cases?
Oh yes. I mean, it's always nice to have one, isn't it?
So Mr. Sholmes' partner was your father?
Exactly. Hurley told me I wasn't allowed to look into the chest. But that only made me want to look even more, so I opened it up.
And found your father's memoirs?
Yes, so I asked Hurley, who wrote this? He nearly fell off his chair. But then he told me, it's when I found out that the author of all those accounts was my father.
So Iris's father was Sholmes' partner. Alright, Iris's father.
I've practically lived with Hurley all my life. I was tiny when he took me in. So it came as quite a shock when Hurley told me he wasn't really my daddy. I mean...
It must have done. I wonder why Mr. Sholmes chose to tell you, and at such a young age.
Hurley says it's because he wouldn't have been able to hide it from me.
Oh.
Well, having lived with Hurley all these years, you might say that his ways have rubbed off on me. There are some things I can't just see. Especially lies. I almost know when people are lying before they open their mouth sometimes.
Right.
Anyway, I was so fascinated when I read Daddy's diaries. That's what inspired me to write The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, actually.
I always assumed Mr. Sholmes simply told you all those thrilling stories.
Oh no. Oh no. Hurley's hopeless like that. He forgets everything. As soon as he solves a case, it all but vanishes from his mind.
Oh, I see.
The other day, it was so embarrassing as usual, he totally forgot about the case he just solved. So the very next day, he gathered together all the people involved and proceeded to solve the case again. It was quite a shock for everyone.
You can say that again. There's something quite wrong with Sholmes. You share your father's surname, don't you, Iris?
That's right, Wilson. That is Dr. John H. Wilson. I learned from his diaries that he's a doctor of medicine, you see. That's what prompted me to study and study so that I could earn a doctor as well.
Iris's father, who went to some distant land and is a doctor by the name of John H. Wilson? Flashback. The court will now hear the trial of Yunosuke Naruhodo. Kindly state before the court of the name of the victim in this case. The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. Bum bum bum. That's right. Visiting professor of medicine at Imperial Yume University. And the man who, in the most bizarre circumstances, lost his life just before we left Japan. Miss Susato. Yes? Yes. Perhaps we shouldn't pursue this conversation any further at this time. I think that would be for the best. Alright, we'll continue this next episode because we're out of time again, so sorry for that. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. It was a nice revelation, though I've already saw it miles and miles away, or kilometers away, as we the people that use the metric system say. Alright? Any case, we'll find out what happens next, what probably what we're gonna have as dinner, or something more tragic is gonna happen as always for Ace Attorney games, but we'll see. Anyways, take care, stay hopeful, but be critical, alright? Till next time. Bye bye.